A trail of tears ran together, which pool multiplied, creating a rivulet. From this rivulet, Chicxulub slowly materialized, tail wagging furiously. Rescued from my purgatorial hiatus, intense emotions overwhelmed me, my whole body crimson with excitement. I literally levitated skyward while immaculate apple-red, antique white, and baby pink geometric hearts sparkled and pirouetted like vivacious gyroscopes. While I was sanguine, Chicxulub was exhilarated, flushing emerald and delectable olive green hues. Shortly thereafter we encountered a stream. Since I was ravenous, Chicxulub clawed the muddy water, scooping up a pair of bilge water. Her eyes shot intense flames to boil and flambeau it, serving up oysters and caquel, rice, and purified mineral water. One uncooperative oyster opened its mouth and hurled a priceless pearl, which I pocketed. Tripping down city streets, we frolicked together, Chicxulub smiling portentously. Though everyone recognized her, nobody appreciated Chicxulub's true character. Eventually, a phantasmagoric panoply of titillating thoughts overwhelmed in me concerning our relationship's consummation. Realizing that such matters were premature, I cleansed my mind of such psychedelia. Temporarily laying aside romantic overtures, and sensing Chicxulub's spectacular genius and savoir-faire, I asked several philosophical questions. If I'm so smart, why can't I comprehend many things that others can, and nobody respects me, though society lauds intelligence? Chicxulub replied, the sole difference between yourself and others is intellectual curiosity, otherwise known as pseudo-intelligence. You're only average. Others are only interested in learning about things they're getting paid for. If they got paid, they know everything you know. Being perspicacious is universally attainable. Everybody says you're so smart, not as a compliment, but to disavow themselves of not knowing information they don't want to study. The oxymoron, if you're so smart, why don't you agree with me, epitomizes arrogant stupidity. The opinions of one with truly superior intelligence would generally be correct and need to be acquiesced to and followed, not the reverse. Society's hypocrisy is quite palpable. Ignore it. Though I'm studious and express powerful convictions, why are my arguments quickly repudiated with statistics or counter-statistics? Chicxulub responded, per the statistical law of average numbers, the probability of the mean of a random sample differing from the population mean from which the sample is drawn by more than X amount approaches zero as the sample size increases. By reversing the formula, we see that as random sample sizes decrease, the probability of their mean differing by more than X amount from the population mean approaches totality. Simply put, tiny statistical samples can demonstrate anything you desire. They're misleading and worthless. Another tactic is using large samples that lack randomness, such as deciding which 5-kilogram bag of peanuts to eat without spoiling your diet. Besides, most viewpoints arise from self-serving desires. I understand that friends and parents habitually let you down, but what about animals, especially man's best friend, forever loyal? Elementary, my dear. Animals are splendid, but loyal? Ironic. The ancients labeled disloyal men the proverbial dog which carpetbags to anyone feeding it best. Captivity of animals in private homes is an artificial construct. Being wild, their true character would resurface. Since feminism culminated in making heterosexual relationships extinct, what about homosexuality? Everybody, save my parents and Bill, embrace it, while others say are queer indeed. Chicxulub replied, it's commonly assumed that if something is wrong or doesn't work, its opposite is correct. Though male-female conflict is eliminated, having two hormonally charged males challenges faithfulness. The resultant promiscuity leads to rampant viral infections whose microscopic size escapes eradication. Besides, romance novels conspiratorially whitewash and obliterate reality. Male homosexual relationships are fruitless endeavors. Understood. However, since male-female relationships are naturally structured on males leading and providing, isn't our own relationship invalidated? Chicxulub replied, I'm only borrowing this current body. When my true identity surfaces, you will understand. What about focusing on personal happiness? You've heard that ignorance is bliss. Since you're diametrically opposite of ignorant, forget it. Joy is essential, but happiness deadens your conscience, causes indifference to worldwide injustices, and creates the delusion that everything's wonderful. Complete happiness is complacency. This life isn't meant for happiness, the next is. Paraphrasing Confucius, I added, a completely virtuous man, though ignored, feels no discomposure. Chichilu replied, despite Confucius's great wisdom, his understanding was incomplete. Nobody is completely virtuous. Though flummery is obviously inane, what about 21st century religion? With her sawtooth mouth, which began to salivate, Chichilub continued, affiliation with like-minded believers is essential. However, even 21st century religious institutions were primarily businesses in phone directories adjacent to other businesses. Cinderella couldn't fit her glass slippers better. Mixing good and bad, they're roses and thorns. Some were crabgrass. Consume the meat and spit out the bones. Noticing my shuddering, Chichilub said, pardon the pun. What about technology? Incredible technology facilitates abounding prosperity, but innovations aren't indicative of internal betterment. Gladiatorial games disappeared because people satiate base tendencies with violent movies, video games, literature, and crime reports magnifying others' misfortunes. Technology is often counterproductive, creating waste, noise pollution, and bullet train calamities. A deus ex machina like cleaning discs, providing an artificial and contrived solution to an unsolvable difficulty, solve consequent problems, but create others. Humans subconsciously seek the mythical perpetual motion machine. When energy sources of current technology are exhausted, society will degenerate back to square one. I queried, how much does it matter what other people think? How much would they be paying you? We both chuckled. Look into my eyes. Beautiful pinwheel-like double helixes attracted my gaze, pulling me deeply into an impressionistic scenario. Melted faces appeared, rescinded, then disintegrated. Everything resembled multicolored mosaic chips, continually retreating until Earth itself variously constituted a milligram, nanogram, and finally a picogram before vanishing completely. After overcoming my bedazzlement, I elbowed Chichilub, asking, can you reveal my future? Startlingly, Chichilub stated, everyone is ignorant of the future. They cannot know what's non-existent, namely time. Furthermore, by knowing the quote-unquote future, it would already be decided. Free will would not exist. Rather, exercising free will, everyone creates their own future. Moreover, since time is a non-entity and merely a mathematical formula for measuring events, this allows for a fascinating paradox. We can instantly step into the past any period we choose by simply repeating previous actions. Modern society could make all its present failures vanish. Impressed with Chichilub's exquisite answers, my heartfelt questions were satisfied. Later, we traveled to Paris and French kissed at the Eiffel Tower. Chichilub stood on a masonry supporting pier while I balanced on an iron column's intricate latticework. Delicacies were intermittently lowered in baskets from the first platform restaurant. Our previous conversation continued, Chichilub explaining that others' disapproval is valid provided you've adequately educated your conscience and subsequently violated it. Otherwise, it's invalid. Her intense radiance then enveloped me like solar clothing. Suddenly and luciferously, an incredible power surge caused cataclysmic change reactions, destroying refrigeration components on cryonic chambers worldwide. With all bodies above ground, a monumental extravaganza of stink ensued. Finally, I inquired about cleaning desks. Chichilub replied, humans perpetually dirty cannot clean themselves. However, follow me. At river's edge, Chichilub held me upside down, submerging me thrice to find special materials. Having retrieved the materials, Chichilub anointed me with a complex xylene oil mixture, sanctifying our complicated relationship. While sharing a glass of milk grapes, she fashioned the material into mystical cleaning wafers, implanting them vertically into my heart. Bending down, Chichilub gave me a miniature optical clock radio, even more accurate than atomic clocks, which played the most beautiful music. Chichilu, being a history major and a logistician, I instinctively knew these answers, but needed reassurance that I wasn't alone in my thoughts. Morosely, I added, everything sounds terribly negative. How will I manage? Jesus? I'm intimately familiar with Jesus, Chichilu replied. However, he's presently inaccessible to comfort you. You need me! Stay tuned for part 9, the last part.